Dr. Hae-Nul Kim was working late in her laboratory when the call came. The bright screens of her computers lit up the otherwise dark room as she studied the behavior of her latest batch of bacteriophages, viruses that could kill harmful bacteria. She had been doing this work for 15 years, even when other scientists said it was old-fashioned. The communication alert made her jump. It wasn't often that someone called the lab at midnight. The screen showed an official message from the Galactic Medical Council, marked as urgent. Hae-Nul straightened her white lab coat and accepted the call. The face that appeared wasn't human. The alien had smooth, pale blue skin and large, dark eyes that reminded Hae-Nul of deep ocean waters. She recognized the species as an Orcs, one of the most advanced civilizations in known space. Dr. Kim, the alien spoke in perfect universal standard. "I am Medical Director Beitan. We need Earth's help." The alien's voice shook slightly. That was unusual. The Orcs were known for their calm control. Hae-Nul leaned forward. "What kind of help, Director?" "We are facing a crisis. A bacterial infection is spreading through our colonies. It kills within days, and none of our medical technology can stop it." Beitan's large eyes seemed to grow darker. "We have lost thousands already." This surprised Hae-Nul. The Orcs had medical technology that was centuries ahead of Earth's. Their hospitals could regrow entire limbs, and their medicines could cure most diseases in hours. "Our databases show that Earth still uses an ancient treatment called phage therapy," Beitan continued. "We dismissed it long ago as primitive. But now..." The alien paused. "Now we wonder if we were wrong." Hae-Nul looked at the small container of bacteriophages on her desk. These tiny viruses were nature's own bacteria killers, evolved over millions of years to fight bacterial infections. Most advanced worlds had stopped using them when they developed better medicines. But Earth had kept studying them, especially after antibiotics started failing. "Can you send me data about the infection?" Hae-Nul asked, already pulling up her analysis programs. The information that filled her screens made her eyes widen. The bacterial strain attacking the Orcs was like nothing she had seen before. It had evolved to resist every advanced treatment they had. But that also meant it had never faced Earth's primitive solutions. "I'll need to study this carefully," she said, "but I think we might be able to help. Our phages might work against this bacteria." "There is more," Beitan said quietly. "A delegation of our people is already on its way to Earth. They will arrive at your orbital station tomorrow. They bring sick patients who volunteered for any treatment that might work." The alien's face showed worry. "Will you help us, Dr. Kim? Will you try your Earth medicine on our people?" Hae-Nul felt the weight of the decision. Using bacteriophages on aliens could save lives, but it could also go terribly wrong. These viruses had evolved to work with Earth biology. How would they affect alien life forms? She looked at her life's work in the small container, then at the desperate face on her screen. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Sometimes looking backward was the way to move forward. "Yes," she said firmly. "I'll help, but I'll need to put together a team quickly." She was already making a list in her mind. "And Director Beitan, thank you for trusting Earth with this." The alien's face showed relief. "Thank you, Dr. Kim. Perhaps we were wrong to think of Earth as less advanced. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant." After the call ended, Hae-Nul sat in her dark lab, looking at her bacteriophages with new respect. Tomorrow, these tiny viruses might begin saving an alien civilization. But first, she had calls to make. She needed the best team Earth could offer. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. "Do one. It's Hae-Nul. How would you like to help make medical history?" The greatest challenge of her career was about to begin. The Earth Orbital Station's medical bay was unlike anything Hae-Nul had seen before. Dozens of Orcs medical staff moved quickly between beds where their sick people lay. The patient's blue skin had turned a pale gray, and they breathed with difficulty. Do-One Park, the alien microbiologist who had arrived with the patients, stood next to Hae-Nul. He was younger than most Orcs scientists, and his eyes showed both worry and hope as he looked at his sick people. The bacteria spreads quickly, Do-1 explained, pointing to images on a screen. It started in one colony and moved to 12 others in just 2 months. Our medicines cannot touch it. Hanul studied the pictures carefully. The bacteria looked similar to Earth's superbugs, bacteria that could fight off most medicines. But this one was stronger than anything she had seen before. We need to test how it reacts to our phages, she said, opening her case of samples. But first, I need to understand exactly what we're fighting. They worked through the night. Hanul's team set up their equipment next to the Orcs advanced machines. The mix of old and new technology made an odd sight: glass tubes and simple microscopes next to devices that could scan at the atomic level. Look at this, Hanul called out after several hours. Do-1 came to her microscope. The bacteria has a thick outer wall, like a fortress. That's why your medicines can't get in to kill it. Do-1 nodded slowly. But how will your phages do any better? Hanul smiled and placed a drop of her phage solution on the slide. Through the microscope, they watched as the tiny viruses approached the bacteria. Phages don't need to break through the wall, she explained. They've evolved to drill through it. Watch. The bacteriophages attached themselves to the bacteria's surface. Slowly but surely, they began to inject their DNA through the thick wall. Within minutes, the bacteria began to break apart as new phages burst out of them. Amazing, Do-1 whispered. Such a simple solution, but so effective. But their success was short-lived. When they tried the same treatment on different samples, it didn't always work. Some bacteria were protected in ways they didn't understand. The problem is in their blood, a voice said from the doorway. Ji-Yum Lee, Hanul's research assistant, walked in carrying a stack of test results. The Orcs blood chemistry changes how the bacteria behave. That's why the same treatment doesn't work every time. Hanul looked at the young researcher with pride. Ji-Young had a talent for seeing patterns others missed. What do you suggest? We need to create different phage cocktails for different patients, Ji-Young said. Mix different types of phages based on each patient's blood chemistry, like making a custom medicine for each person. It was a bold idea. Making different treatments for each patient would take more time and work, but it might be their best chance. The station's head doctor, an Orcs named Kairen, wasn't happy with the plan. This is too uncertain, he argued. Using viruses as medicine, making different versions for each patient, it goes against everything we know about proper medical treatment. Sometimes we need to try old ideas in new ways, Hanul said firmly. Your current methods aren't working. Let us try this on 3 patients, the most serious cases. If it works, we can treat more. Kairen looked at the sick patients, then back at Hanul. Finally, he nodded. 3 patients, but if anything goes wrong, we stop immediately. As the medical team prepared for their first trial, Hanul felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. They weren't just testing a treatment. They were testing whether humanity's primitive medical knowledge could help save an advanced civilization. Do-1 touched her arm gently. Whatever happens, he said, you've given us hope. That's something we didn't have yesterday. Hanul nodded and began preparing the first treatment. Tomorrow would show whether that hope was justified. The 3 sickest patients lay in their beds, their gray skin showing how ill they were. Hanul and Ji-Young carefully prepared the special phage mixtures they had made for each patient. Each mixture was different, matching the patient's unique blood chemistry. Are you sure about this? Do-1 asked, watching them work. We've never used Earth viruses on Orcs patients before. No, Hanul admitted. But these patients will die without help. Sometimes we must be brave and try new things. The first patient was a young Orcs named Myra. She had been a teacher before getting sick. Now she could barely breathe. Hanul injected the phage mixture into Myra's arm while everyone watched nervously. For the first hour, nothing seemed to happen. Kyren, the head doctor, kept checking his advanced medical screens. No change, he said each time, his voice getting more disappointed. But Jia-young noticed something in the second hour. "Look at her blood tests," she said excitedly. "The bacteria count is dropping." She was right. Slowly but surely, the phages were killing the harmful bacteria. By the third hour, Mayra's breathing became easier. Her skin started to return to its normal blue color. Encouraged by this success, they treated the second patient, a cargo pilot named Rohan. His reaction was even better than Mayra's. Within 4 hours, he was able to sit up and drink water for the first time in days. But when they treated the third patient, an elderly Orcs named Tuval, things went wrong. At first, he seemed to improve like the others. Then his body temperature began to rise quickly. His immune system is fighting the phages too strongly, Haenul realized. It's treating them like an infection instead of a medicine. The medical team worked quickly to help Tuval. They gave him medicine to calm his immune system, and Haenul adjusted the phage mixture. Slowly, his temperature returned to normal, and the bacteria in his body began to die. "That was too close," Kyren said afterward. "Perhaps we should stop the trials." But Tuval spoke up weakly from his bed. "No," he said, "I feel better than I have in weeks. The treatment works. It just needs to be adjusted for some of us." Jia-young had been thinking hard about the problem. "What if we add something to the phages to hide them from the immune system?" she suggested, "like putting a disguise on them." Haenul looked at her young assistant with pride. "That might work. We could coat them with friendly proteins that the Orcs body recognizes." Do-won got excited about this idea. "We could use proteins from healthy Orcs cells. Their immune systems would think the phages were just normal cell particles." They worked through the night to test this new approach. Haenul was tired, but she felt hopeful. They were learning new things about how Earth medicines could work with alien biology. The next morning, news arrived from another Orcs colony. More people were getting sick. They needed to solve these problems quickly and make more treatments. "We've proved the phages can work," Haenul told her team. "Now we need to make them work better, and we need to make more of them." Mayra, now sitting up in her bed and eating normally, smiled at them. "You've given us hope," she said. "Sometimes the simplest answers are the best ones." As Haenul looked at her recovering patients, she knew this was just the beginning. They had shown that Earth's old medicine could help save alien lives. But they still had many challenges ahead. The real work was just starting. News of the successful treatments spread quickly through the medical community, but not everyone was happy about it. Dr. Tahi Kang, the head of Earth's medical board, called an emergency meeting at the orbital station. Tahi stood at the front of the conference room, his face stern. "Using untested viruses on alien patients is dangerous," he said. "We should stop these treatments immediately." Haenul sat quietly, listening to his complaints. She had known Tahi for years. He always followed rules exactly and didn't like new ideas. Next to her, Jia-young shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "But the treatments are working," Jia-young spoke up. "We've helped 15 patients recover already. And one patient almost died," Tahi reminded them. "We can't risk Earth being blamed if something goes wrong. The Orcs are an advanced civilization. What will they think of us if we harm their people?" Do-won, who had been watching silently, stood up. "I am Orcs," he said calmly. "And I think you're more worried about looking bad than about saving lives." The room went quiet. Even Tahi seemed surprised by Do-won's direct words. Just then, a young Orcs burst into the conference room. Her blue skin was pale with worry. "Dr. Kang," she called out, "your daughter." Tahi's face changed instantly. "Mina? What about Mina?" The young Orcs caught her breath. "She's sick. She caught the infection while working at the embassy. They're bringing her to the station now." Haenul watched the color drain from Tahi's face. His daughter, Mina, had been working as a helper at the Orcs embassy on Earth. Now she had the same deadly infection they were fighting. When Mena arrived, she was already very sick. The bacteria had spread quickly through her body. Regular medicines didn't help her at all. Tahi sat by his daughter's bed, holding her hand. He looked up at Hainul, his eyes full of fear. "Can you help her?" he asked quietly. "Can your phages save my daughter?" Hainul nodded slowly. "We'll need to make a special mixture for her, just like we do for the Orcs patients. Her human biology will need different phages." "Do it," Tahi said. "Please." Hainul, Jae-young, and Do-won worked together to create the treatment. They used everything they had learned from treating the Orcs patients to make it safer and better. The hours after they gave Mina the treatment were tense. Tahi never left her side. Slowly, hour by hour, her condition improved. By morning, her fever had broken. As Mina recovered, Tahi changed. He watched Hainul's teamwork, asking questions and learning about phage therapy. He saw how they mixed old knowledge with new ideas to solve problems. A week later, Tahi stood up at another meeting. This time, his message was different. "I was wrong," he said simply. "I was afraid of using old methods, afraid of looking primitive. But these primitive methods saved my daughter's life. They're saving Orcs' lives too. We should be proud that Earth kept this knowledge when others threw it away." The meeting room filled with applause. Even the Orcs doctors who had doubted the treatment were starting to believe in it. But Hainul knew they still had big challenges ahead. More colonies were reporting outbreaks. They needed to find a way to make much more medicine. And quickly, looking at her team, human and Orcs working together, she felt sure they would find a way. The success of the phage treatment brought a new problem. More and more sick Orcs needed help, but Hainul's team could only make small amounts of medicine at a time. They needed to make much more, and quickly. "At this rate, it will take years to make enough medicine for everyone," Do-won said, looking at the latest reports. 3 more Orcs colonies had reported outbreaks of the infection. Hainul rubbed her tired eyes. "They have been working non-stop for weeks. We need a better way to grow the phages. Our current labs are too small." That's when Sun Mi-choi, an engineer from Earth's biggest medicine factory, arrived at the station. She was small and quiet, but her eyes sparkled with intelligence. "I might have an idea," she said, spreading out her drawings on the table. Sun Mi had designed a new kind of bioreactor, a machine that could grow huge amounts of phages quickly. Her design mixed Earth's simple growing methods with Orcs' high technology. "See, we use Earth's normal containers to grow the phages," she explained, pointing to her drawings. "But we add Orcs' energy fields to speed up their growth. We can make 50 times more medicine this way." Jae-young studied the drawings carefully. "But won't the energy fields damage the phages?" Sun Mi smiled. "That's why we add these shields here and here," she said, pointing to parts of her design. "They protect the phages while they grow." Hainul looked at the design with hope. "How long would it take to build?" 3 days with Orcs' help," Sun Mi said. "They have amazing building technology." The team worked day and night to build the new bioreactor. It was as tall as 3 people and filled with glowing tubes where the phages would grow. Orcs' technology made the tubes shine with soft blue light. When they turned it on for the first time, everyone held their breath. The machine hummed softly as it worked. After just 1 day, it had made more medicine than they used to make in a week. But as they celebrated this success, Do-won made a troubling discovery. He had been studying reports from all the infected colonies, looking for patterns. "Look at this," he said, pointing to his computer screen. "The infection always starts near our newest medical centers, the ones using our most advanced treatment machines." Hainul leaned in to look. "What are you thinking?" "I think our own advanced medicine might be causing this," Do-won said quietly. "Our cleaning beams kill all bacteria instantly. But what if that made some bacteria change and become stronger?" The idea hit everyone like a shock. The Orcs' very advanced medicine might have created this super strong bacteria by accident, like Earth's overuse of antibiotics, Jae-young said. It made bacteria stronger because only the toughest ones survived. Newell saw the truth in this. Sometimes trying to kill all bacteria just made the survivors stronger. Earth had learned this lesson the hard way. Now the Orcs were learning it too. Sunmay looked up from her bioreactor controls. Then maybe mixing old and new ways is better, she said. Like this machine. It uses both Earth's simple methods and Orcs technology. Together, they work better than either alone. As if to prove her point, the bioreactor beeped, announcing another batch of medicine was ready. In just one day, they had made enough to treat a whole colony. Newell looked at her team, humans and Orcs working together, mixing old knowledge with new ideas. They were not just making medicine. They were showing how different worlds could learn from each other. Let's get this medicine to the colonies, she said. And then we need to talk to the Orcs Medical Council. They need to know what we've discovered about their advanced technology. The team nodded, knowing that this discovery would change how both humans and Orcs thought about medical treatment forever. The meeting room of the Orcs Medical Council was silent as Do-1 showed his findings on the big screen. Maps of infected colonies glowed red, each outbreak starting near an advanced medical center. Our most powerful medicines and cleaning systems killed almost all bacteria, Do-1 explained. But a few survived. These survivors became stronger and stronger until normal medicine couldn't hurt them anymore. The Orcs Council members looked troubled. One of them, an older doctor named Raiko, stood up. Are you saying our advanced medicine caused this problem? Not exactly, Newell said gently. The bacteria changed to protect themselves. It's like how plants grow stronger in harsh weather. The survivors adapt and become tougher. Jia stepped forward with more data. We found the same pattern in Earth's history, she said. When we used too many antibiotics, some bacteria became super strong. We called them superbugs. Sunlay added her own discovery. We found traces of your cleaning beams and samples from all infected patients. The beams changed the bacteria's outer shell, making it harder and stronger. The council room filled with worried whispers. The Orcs had always believed that stronger medicine was better medicine. Now they were learning that sometimes strong medicine could make things worse. But why didn't this happen before? Asked another council member. Because your old medical centers used gentler treatments, Newell explained. They didn't kill all bacteria, so the bacteria didn't need to become super strong to survive. It's only your newest, most powerful treatments that caused this problem. Tahi, who had joined the meeting, spoke up. Earth learned this lesson years ago. That's why we kept studying older treatments like phage therapy. Sometimes gentler methods work better. Raiko looked thoughtful. So our drive to create perfect, clean environments actually made things worse. We tried too hard to kill all bacteria, good and bad. Yes, Do-1 said. We need to change how we think about medicine. Not everything needs to be completely sterile. Some bacteria are actually good for us. Newell showed images of healthy bacteria living peacefully in human and Orcs bodies. These good bacteria help protect us from bad ones. When we kill them all, we lose our natural defenders. The council was quiet for a long time. Finally, Raiko spoke again. We thought Earth's medical science was primitive because you still used simple treatments. But now we see that keeping this knowledge was wise. The best solution might be to combine our methods. Jia suggested. Use advanced technology when needed, but also use gentler treatments that work with nature instead of against it. Sun's bioreactor was perfect proof of this idea. It used both Earth's simple growing methods and Orcs' advanced technology. Together, they worked better than either one alone. The council voted to send teams to all their medical centers. They would adjust the cleaning beams to be less powerful and work on better ways to tell good bacteria from bad. As the meeting ended, Newell felt both happy and worried. They had found the cause of the problem, but changing how people thought about medicine would take time. Some Orcs would resist using gentler treatments, just like some humans still didn't trust old-fashioned cures. We need to teach both our peoples that newest isn't always best, she said to her team as they left the council room. Sometimes old knowledge is just as important as new discoveries. Do-One nodded. And sometimes the best solutions come from working together and learning from each other's mistakes. They had uncovered the truth about the infection. Now they had to help everyone understand it and learn from it. The real work of changing minds was just beginning. 3 months after the council meeting, the orbital station looked very different. What started as an emergency medical center had grown into the first interspecies medical research institute. Humans and Orcs worked side by side in new labs that mixed both worlds' technology. Hanul walked through the main lab, smiling at the changes. Earth microscopes sat next to Orcs scanning devices. Simple glass tubes shared space with glowing alien equipment. In one corner, Sun's bioreactor hummed quietly, making medicine for both species. "Dr. Kim," a voice called. It was Mayra, the teacher who had been one of their first patients. She had recovered fully and now helped teach other patients about their treatment. "The new medical students are here." The large classroom was filled with young doctors from both Earth and Orcs worlds. They had come to learn the new combined medical practices that use both old and new methods. "Welcome," Hanul said to the class. "You're here because both our peoples have important things to teach each other." She pointed to pictures on the wall showing the history of medicine on both worlds. Earth kept old treatments like phage therapy because our simpler methods sometimes worked better. The Orcs created amazing new technologies that can heal injuries in days. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone. In another part of the station, Jai Young led a team working on something new. They were building a database of phage treatments that could work on many different species. Each species has different bacteria living in their bodies, Jai Young explained to her team. Some good, some bad. We need to know which phages can help each species without causing harm. Do-One had also made an important discovery. He found that some Orcs traditional medicines, which many had thought were old-fashioned, worked well with Earth's phage therapy. "Our ancestors knew things we forgot," he told Hanul as they looked at his results. They used plants and simple treatments that worked with nature instead of fighting it, just like Earth did. The station was also sending teams to help other worlds. Some aliens had heard about the successful treatment of the Orcs and asked for help with their own medical problems. "Every species has something to teach us," Tahi said during a staff meeting. He had changed a lot since his daughter's recovery. Now he helped lead the program to share medical knowledge between worlds. One day, Hanul found Sunmei working late in her lab. The engineer was teaching an Orcs student how to mix Earth's simple growing methods with their advanced technology. "It's like cooking," Sunmei explained, showing the student how to adjust the bioreactor's controls. "Sometimes you need a hot fire, sometimes a gentle simmer. The trick is knowing when to use each one." The student nodded eagerly. "Our people always thought bigger and stronger was better, but now we see that gentle methods often work better." That evening, Hanul sat in her office looking at pictures of their progress. The infection that had brought them together was now under control. The new medical centers used gentler cleaning methods, and both species had learned to work with nature instead of against it. "We've come so far," Do-One said, bringing her a cup of tea. "But there's still so much to learn from each other." Hanul agreed. Every day brought new discoveries as they shared knowledge between worlds. Some were big breakthroughs. Others were small but important insights. All of them helped build bridges between different peoples. "The universe has so many different ways of healing," she said. "We just need to be humble enough to learn from each other." Outside her window, Earth glowed blue and green against the darkness of space. Somewhere out there, other worlds waited to share their own medical wisdom. The journey of learning was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the first Orcs patients were treated with Earth's phage therapy. The Interspecies Medical Research Institute had grown into a huge center where doctors from many worlds came to learn and share knowledge. Hanul sat in her new office, looking at pictures on her wall. There was one of her original team. Jai-Yum with her clever ideas, Sunmai with her amazing bioreactor, and Do-Won who helped bridge their two worlds. Another picture showed Myra teaching a class of mixed species about phage treatments. Director Kim, her computer called out, "You have an urgent message." Hanul smiled at how things had changed. 5 years ago, she had been a simple researcher when an urgent call changed everything. Now she was the Institute's director, and urgent calls were common. The face that appeared on her screen wasn't human or Orcs. It belonged to a species she had never seen before. The alien had soft purple skin and eyes that changed color as it spoke. Director Kim, the alien said in universal standard, "I am Medical Chief Vec of the Lyra people. We need Earth's help." Hanul felt a strange sense of history repeating itself. "What's wrong, Medical Chief?" "Our people are dying from a bacterial infection that resists all our medicines," Vec said. "We heard how you helped the Orcs. Will you help us too?" Hanul didn't hesitate. "Of course we'll help. Tell me about the infection." Has Vic described their problem? Hanul sent messages to her team. Soon, her office filled with familiar faces. Jai-Young, now head of research, studied the Lyra medical data. Sunmai, who had built bioreactors for a dozen different species, started planning what they would need. "Their biology is very different from humans or Orcs," Jai-Young said. "But look here, their bacteria have similar weaknesses to ones we've treated before." Do-Won, who had just returned from teaching at an Orcs medical school, nodded in agreement. "We can modify our existing phage treatments to work for them. Sunmi's new bioreactor can grow any type of phage we need." Tahi, who now helped manage relationships between different species, spoke up from his chair. "The Orcs have offered to help too. They want to share what they learned from their experience." Hanul looked at her team with pride. 5 years ago, they had been struggling to convince people that Earth's primitive medicine could work. Now they were the leaders in combining old and new medical knowledge from across the galaxy. "We should invite some Lyra doctors to join our program," Myra suggested. She had become one of their best teachers. "They might have traditional medicines we can learn from, just like we learned from Orcs traditions." "Agreed," Hanul said. "And we'll send a team to their world. Chief Vec, can you arrange for some of your patients to come here for treatment?" The purple alien's eyes turned a hopeful blue color. "Yes, Director. And thank you. Some called us foolish for asking Earth for help. They said your medicine was too simple." Hanul thought about how often she had heard those words. "Simple doesn't mean bad," she said. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. We've learned that every world, no matter how advanced or simple they seem, has something valuable to teach us." After the call ended, Hanul walked with her team to the Institute's main hall. The huge room was filled with doctors and patients from dozens of worlds. Some used advanced technology that seemed like magic. Others used traditional medicines passed down through generations. All of them worked together, learning from each other. "Ready to save another civilization?" Jai-Young asked with a smile. Hanul looked at her team. The people who had helped prove that Earth's old knowledge was just as valuable as advanced alien technology. Together, they had changed how the galaxy thought about medicine. "Ready," she said. "Let's show them what humans and their little viruses can do." Above them, through the station's clear dome, new stars twinkled with promise. Somewhere out there, more worlds waited to share their wisdom. The adventure they had started 5 years ago was far from over. It was just beginning again.